Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that your home no longer exists. Not because it burned down, not because it was abandoned, but because, somewhere, in a distant office, on a server you've never seen, your village simply vanished. If someone searched for it, they wouldn't find it. If they tried to navigate there, they couldn't. To the digital world, it was as if your community had never existed at all. And for thousands of people living in remote parts of the world, that isn't science fiction, it's reality. Today, nearly every journey begins with a map. Need directions? Open your phone. Looking for a restaurant? Open a map. Trying to find a hospital, a school, or even your own street? A map tells you where it is. Most of us trust these digital maps without thinking. We assume they reflect reality. But what happens when reality and the map stop matching? What happens when a place disappears? Deep in remote regions across the globe, there are communities that know the answer. Places where roads exist but don't appear. Places where homes stand but cannot be found. Places where entire villages have become invisible to the digital world. And the consequences can be devastating. For generations, the village sat quietly among rolling hills. Children walked the same dirt roads their grandparents had walked before them. Farmers worked fields that had been cultivated for decades. Families gathered for weddings, funerals, and celebrations under the same sky. The village wasn't famous, it wasn't wealthy, it wasn't important to the outside world. But to the people who lived there, it was everything. Then one day, something changed. A local teacher noticed that deliveries had stopped arriving on time. Visitors became lost. Emergency services struggled to locate addresses. Businesses reported customers saying they couldn't find the village online. At first, people assumed it was a mistake, a temporary glitch. Surely something so simple would be fixed. It wasn't. The village had disappeared from digital maps. Not physically, digitally. And in the modern world, those two things are becoming increasingly difficult to separate. Experts who study geographic information systems describe maps as a form of infrastructure, just like roads, just like electricity, just like water. The difference is that most people don't realize they're relying on them every day. When a bridge collapses, everyone notices. When a village disappears from a map, the damage is quieter, but it can be just as real. Delivery drivers miss homes, tourists stop visiting, businesses lose customers, government services become harder to access, and emergency responders waste precious minutes trying to determine where someone actually is. Those minutes matter, especially when someone's life depends on them. The strange thing is that digital maps are not created by some all-seeing machine. They are built by people, millions of people, engineers, companies, volunteers, governments, and algorithms all contribute to the giant digital picture we call a map. And that picture is constantly changing. Roads are added, names are updated, borders are disputed. Entire locations can appear or disappear with a few clicks. Most of the time, these changes improve accuracy, but sometimes they create something else, a blind spot. Researchers have documented cases where remote communities were mapped incorrectly for years. Some villages appeared miles away from their actual location. Others were labeled with the wrong names. Some didn't appear at all. And for the people living there, the consequences often extended far beyond inconvenience. One researcher studying rural communities described a phenomenon known as digital exclusion. The idea is simple. If you don't exist in the systems people use to navigate the world, you become harder to reach, harder to serve, harder to remember. In some ways, being absent from a map can make you absent from people's minds, and that raises an uncomfortable question. Who gets to decide what appears on a map? Historically, maps have never been neutral. Empires used them to claim territory. Governments used them to define borders. Explorers used them to shape how the world understood distant lands. Maps don't just describe reality, they influence it. The arrival of digital mapping didn't change that. It simply moved the power into new hands. Today, billions of people rely on a handful of companies to tell them where things are. Most of the time, those systems work remarkably well, but when they fail, the people affected often have little control over the outcome. In one case, residents spent years trying to correct errors that repeatedly reappeared. In another, entire communities struggled to receive services because their locations were recorded incorrectly. Again and again, the same lesson emerged. The map wasn't reality, it was merely a version of reality, and versions can be wrong. Eventually, after months of complaints, reports, and persistence, the village returned. The roads reappeared, The labels came back. Navigation systems began directing people correctly once more. On paper, the problem was solved, but something had changed, because the villagers had learned a strange truth about the modern world. Their existence had become partially dependent on a database, a collection of coordinates, a set of digital records stored somewhere far away. And if those records disappeared, even temporarily, part of their connection to the outside world disappeared with them. It's easy to laugh at the idea of a village vanishing from a map, until you realize how much of your own life depends on systems you never think about. Your address, your workplace, the hospital nearest your home. All of them exist not only in the physical world, but also in a growing digital one. A world made of data points, coordinates, and algorithms. A world that increasingly shapes how we experience reality itself. The village never actually disappeared. Its houses remained. Its people remained. Its stories remained. Children still played in the streets. Farmers still worked the fields. Families still gathered together each evening. The village was always there. The real mystery isn't how a village vanished from Google Maps. The real mystery is how we've built a world where disappearing from a map can feel so much like disappearing altogether. And as our lives become more digital with every passing year, that question becomes harder to ignore. Because someday, the next place that disappears might not be a remote village. It might be somewhere much closer to home.